Hi, we're back here for episode 7, and I'm taking a look at what I had in the backlog. I decided with fresh eyes, because this is a few days later that I picked this back up, I want to create a project here in the solution called end-to-end, and then I want to have nCrunch not use it. And that's going to let me feel good about having nCrunch on all the time without sacrificing the ability to actually hit GitHub. So I'm gonna make this a test project, and I'll probably make the end-to-end tests take the form of acceptance tests. Call this hacker finder.end-to-end. And I will add spec flow. Do I want this message to stop showing up? Visual Studio is about to make changes. Fortune favors the bold. I will just go ahead with it in the future. Get out of here. Now I think what I want to do... So Hacker Finder Acceptance has this. And location search steps. So, you know what? I have a better idea. Let me move. Oh, I wonder if I'm going to have to do the app config magic here again, too. App config. Yes. So again, I want to use MS test. Shouldn't you be popping a name about whatever. Okay, so I actually want... Let's see how awful this becomes. Wait a minute, that was too easy. Namespace. I knew there was a... Yes, because you're going to need a reference to Hacker Finder. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm moving this into this end-to-end thing, kind of wholesale. And I don't want this to be acceptance. Oh, can I just rename? No. Rename the namespace. Oh, that's nice. That didn't used to do that. I really like that. Okay. I wonder if I can do that here too. Sure can. Let's rebuild. Pragma warning disable. Pay no attention to that code behind the code generation. Okay. So nCrunch is running, and let me go back over here to do, I guess, since unit tests inherently serve as a double check, this is like a triple check. Okay, so I have 4 passing tests, and this is called end-to-end. I feel good about this now. That is to say, I feel good about... let me close everything. I'm confusing myself. I feel good about having moved this to something called end-to-end, because this is going to, I think, wind up being the only place that I want anything hitting GitHub in terms of automated testing. So yeah, this is actually building it with a coded up GitHub Inquisitor, which, if you'll recall, and so I can recall, is this guy. So I have a test covering it. I am going to lose my dots on this one when I do what I'm about to do, which is to turn this off. So I don't actually mind running the same. I might go in here and create, just as an example. Now I have to go in here, I guess. New spec flow feature file. What would I call it? So location searches. I guess I'll call it location searches in here too, but the key difference will be that in the acceptance, I'm going to use a mock, and that way I can keep my ncrunch dots going in here. So location search, add new item, and this will also be called location search. You're not necessarily getting an awesome look at the completely clean best practices in terms of spec flow, because I'm not that familiar with it, but I am kind of learning it as I go and reading on the side here and there about how to use it. Generate step definitions. This is always on my second monitor. So it pops up a message and I have to drag it here so you can see it. That reminds me of a problem. Before I do that, I'm wondering if it, I don't remember exactly how Visual Studio. So the problem is basically I cut and then pasted files from hackerfinder.acceptance into .end-to-end, and I want to make sure that that also happened with the files themselves instead of just it including it from where it lay. Okay, so we're good there. I just didn't want any like weird files, you know, with a 2 appended onto their name. So interesting. Profile searcher tests. What? Oh, I'm yeah. Okay, so I think we're all set. So it generated that like against my will? That's interesting. Did it generate? I don't see the. Where is it getting this? When I supply location wheeling, so it's somewhere. Profile searcher tests. So here, okay. Boy, that is bizarre. I thought I can't. So it seems like it maybe generated this file. Audiogram builder.acceptance. Location search steps. Well, it's not in there. Oh, that's weird. And I have something called unit test 1 in here somewhere too. So when I do my courses for Pluralsight, this is the kind of stuff that I edit out. I don't see it here. Maybe Visual Studio is like weirdly out of sync with. Okay, I'm going to stop chasing after this because it's just not that important. Location search steps. Okay, now let me close everything. Oh no. So here's what location, here's what this looks like in the other code base. And what I want to do is more or less the same thing, but I want to supply a mock. Sorry, that's my phone. I want to supply a mock implementation, so I'm going to need just mock in here again. I do accept. Okay. This is end to end, so I'm going to leave that one alone. I'm going to instantiate a new profile searcher here when I supply a location. So, okay. And I don't know how meaningful this is going to be. I'm just going to kind of leave it in here as a stub, I guess. So I'm going to say var searcher. Actually, let me call it target equals new. Oh, I think dusting off memories I've been, all the mocking I've been doing over the last year or so is, no, largely in Java. Dot extensions. Helpers, that's it. See, that's the exact kind of rustiness I'm talking about. Is that not a thing? Am I remembering a different mocking framework? Huh. Anyway, I get Hub Inquisitor. Let me get rid of this. And profiles. I think I'm also going to need to do something about that. Well, I don't really like those law of Demeter violation static calls a lot. I have done something before where I create an extension method. See, those are the evils of copying and pasting. So let me not do that. I will live with the pain. So here I'm going to say set the profiles, and then I'm going to get the profiles. You know, at the very least, while I'm in here, private, what is this thing? Scenario context. No, I don't want to set it. I want to return scenario. Current. All right, equals current.get, and it's an IEnumerable. No. Really? You're not, generate interface. This is kind of driving me nuts. I don't know what setting I'm missing here in the new Visual Studio. Collections. IEnumerable. What do you mean the non-generic? It's an I list. Oh. Well, I probably don't have that either. So why not? Is it in link? No, that doesn't make sense. I don't know why it's not finding these things for me. That's like kind of making me crazy. That did not used to be the case in other versions of Visual Studio, but it's quite possibly something I set up and did wrong. Sure, make it static. Okay, so I'm going to get the profiles, and then I want to assert assert anything yet. So I am starting to learn. Oh, frick. I think it's like this. I'm trying to get a little. Oh, I'm trying to get a little more idiomatic with this stuff. And then I want to assert that there's a profile in there. So assert that there's any, oops. I'm going to have to revisit my Visual Studio settings at some point here. This is starting to drive me kind of insane. Just all the things that I don't remember that are off from what I remember using 2013. And even though I am a little rusty, I'm not that rusty. I've been using this for my chess TDD series. So this is new stuff that I either haven't set up yet or somebody moved my cheese. First name. Now, what don't you like about that? Oh, for goodness sake. This is painful. If you're not a Visual Studio developer and you're watching this, it's like kind of barbaric feeling to have to like go up here and type usings. I'm very used to hitting Control period or using Code Rush as somebody sorts it out, somebody that isn't me. Right. Let me see if I get it right this time. It's dot star. Well, I got the order right, but still a typo. And string location text. So now this should be compiling, but failing. And I guess what I'm going to have to do, let me take a look at this in order to make it sort of meaningful. When I supply Wheeling, Illinois, I should have a user named Eric. So before, we were relying on GitHub to make that happen. GitHub Inquisitor. Mock Inquisitor. Oops. So I'll arrange this. There we go. And let's see. What is that method currently doing? So at the moment, it's looking to see if this string contains Eric Dietrich. So I'm not really looking to make this right. I'm just looking to get it to pass via mocking. So I'm going to say Eric Dietrich. And then I would expect that now we go green. And that's what I'm looking for. So now I am content. Coming up on the 20-minute mark. So this wasn't like, you know, super productive in terms of advancing the code. Oh, then let's see. There's also the ncrunch tests. What I want to do, I don't actually remember how to do this. It's been a while. So I want it on for acceptance and test. Ignore. Okay, so I'm telling it to ignore all the tests in end-to-end. So what we should see now, if let me just do a build for the sake of it. Monitoring 4 tests with 1 ignored. And that's the state of affairs I want to leave things in. So if we go in here to acceptance tests, oops. Now I'm expecting to see my green dots. Life is good. If we go in here to end-to-end, I am expecting See nothing. It's ignored. Good. I don't know if there's like a slightly more permanent way to do it or not, but it's the way I'll do it for now. One thing that would be interesting is if I were collaborating on this with a number of people. I'm pretty sure that I'm not pushing up those local ncrunch settings, so it would be up to each individual to do an ignore like that. So if this were a team environment, that might be a challenge, is to, how do you not do that? How do you select a preferred ncrunch configuration for the solution? However, that is not necessarily my problem at the moment, so I'm going to say that I distinguished between acceptance tests and end-to-end tests. To get away from continuous test running against GitHub. Let's commit that. Did we get everything? Looks like it. What? Oh. Sync. And that's it. I will see you next time.